Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Drux Milan Unboxing. I'm, of course, Drux Milan. Please hit the subscribe button at the bottom of your screen. It'll help me to keep doing what I'm doing. And this Friday night, we are heading to the city of brotherly love. I'm, of course, talking about Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And it's quite fitting that it will host a matchup of this caliber because Philly is a fight city. We have great fighters that came from there. Most famous probably Joe Frazier and Bernard Hopkins. And then, of course, it forms a backdrop for the iconic Rocky movies that put Sylvester Stallone on the map. And I'm told even in Philly, you know, if a street fight erupts, it starts with a hook of a jab. So I think we're going to have a great fight on Friday night because we have a world light heavyweight title unification between the WBC champion from Ukraine, Oleksandr, and the IBF champion from Russia, Artur Beterbiev. Two not so young, in their mid-50s, but still young for light heavyweights. But two guys very near or in their prime, two undefeated guys, contrasting styles, facing each other to unify the world titles. What could be better than that? If we look at Gvozdyk, he's 17-0 with 14 knockouts. He is more of your boxer, although he can certainly punch as well. We saw when he won his world title against Adonis Stevenson in Stevenson's backyard in Canada. He boxed according to a very well worked out game plan there with Teddy Atlas in his corner. He stayed away from Stevenson's big left hand. He circled away from it. He kept him occupied with his jab, dropped in the straight rights. And what I liked about Gvozdyk in that fight, when he did hurt Stevenson, he knew to stop boxing and go for it and get Stevenson out of there, which is exactly what he did. Unfortunately, Stevenson sustained career-ending injuries, but thankfully he's now on his way to recovery and he seems like he's going to be okay. But that is Gvozdyk. He hasn't got, he can be hurt, he can be hit. Stevenson nailed him with that big left and he was saved from a knockdown only by the ropes. He fell into the ropes, the rope kept him up. It could easily have been counted as a knockdown. But Gvozdyk, he can be caught and he can be hurt like Stevenson showed. Now, on the other hand, we have Artur Beterbiev. He is more of a steady, plodding forward pressure fighter. I say steady because he's not a volume puncher. He doesn't have a very high work rate. He fights at one pace, round by round. What I like about him is he retains his power. He's got 14 knockouts in as many fights, 14-0, 14 knockouts. He's very heavy-handed. And he retains his power late in the fight, which we saw when he beat Enrico Curling. He knocked him out in the 12th round, in the final round. So he doesn't fade as the fight goes on, and I think that's because of his steady pace. Now, the thing with Beterbiev, he can also be hit, I think, much more easily than Gvozdyk. Beterbiev, he basically keeps his hands up and he comes forward. So he can be hit against Callum Johnson, who is no great shakes. He went down from a left hook, I think it was. He threw it at the same time and he got there quicker than Beterbiev. But it was just a flash knockdown. He was up and back at Johnson. So I don't think there's a chin problem at all. It's just that he gets nailed because he's fairly straight and upright, as is Gvozdyk. But Gvozdyk gets out of the way by using his feet, whereas Beterbiev is flat on his feet. So Beterbiev can beat, and he's a bit on the slow side. So you'll be able to outmaneuver him for a while, but you're not going to be able to do it for 12 rounds. At some point, Gvozdyk will have to stop and fight because there's many ways this fight can turn out. It's a real 50-50 even Stevens fight. I believe Gvozdyk is a slight favorite, but it can really go either way. It will depend who can impose his style on the fight. So Gvozdyk, he's got to keep on his toes like he did with Adonis Stevenson. He's just going to have to make the obvious adjustments because Beterbiev isn't the southpaw like Stevenson, so he's just going to have to circle in a different way and give him different looks. And he's also mastered controlling the distance, and that is what Gvozdyk will have to do. Keep Beterbiev at the end of his jab, and Gvozdyk does have a reach and a height advantage, and I think that will be the crucial factor in this fight that could see Gvozdyk go to victory. So Gvozdyk needs to box, but in doing that, he's going to need to also hit Beterbiev with something that's going to make him take notice and get his respect and think twice before he comes in on Gvozdyk. So that is what Gvozdyk will need to do. Now, Beterbiev, he can only fight one way. He comes forward and he keeps hitting you until the other man simply falls apart. Sort of like other Russians we've seen. Shavkat Rakimov comes to mind that we had here in South Africa. And then also Beterbiev, to me, sort of very much resembles, not only in his looks, but in his way of fighting, the ex-WBA IBF Cruiserweight champion Murat Gassiev. Tough, strong guy. He simply imposes himself on his opponents. And I also think that this match will be similar to that Ukrainian versus Russian matchup between Oleksandr Usyk and Murat Gassiev. But I don't think Gvozdyk is quite on the level of Oleksandr Usyk. And I think Beterbiev, like Gassiev, is extremely strong and heavy-handed for the weight. So I think it's going to be a much more competitive fight. I'll be very surprised if Gvozdyk can sort of whitewash Beterbiev the way Usyk did with Gassiev. So I can see Beterbiev hurting Gvozdyk like Stevenson did. But unlike Stevenson, it's hard to forget that Stevenson was 41 years old and he was coming off a war against Badu Jack, which he barely escaped with a draw. So Beterbiev is younger, fresher, he's got a lot less miles on the clock. If Beterbiev hurts Gvozdyk, I think he has the ability to go after Gvozdyk on the ropes and keep on him, which Stevenson maybe didn't have a gas tank for. So I can see Beterbiev breaking through the point, hurting Gvozdyk and stopping him. I won't be shocked at all if that happens. If it's a long fight, if it's a points fight, I see Gvozdyk as the winner. And if I'm forced to pick, I'm going to go with Oleksandr Gvozdyk here to steal enough of the early rounds to build up a points lead. Beterbiev will at some time get to him. So I think Gvozdyk will have to walk through fire, come through a few bad spots where he's hurt and has to hold on. But I suspect that he will weather those bad spots and he'll end up winning a close decision to become the joint WBC IBF World Light Heavyweight Champion. So I'm going with Gvozdyk. I'm not at all betting the house on it. It's another 50-50 fight. And I think we're going to have a great fight, just like we had with Errol Spence Jr. and Sean Porter. All our condolences and our best wishes for Errol Spence. Get better soon. We hope it's not a career-ending sort of injury. And then we had a great fight a weekend or two ago against Triple G, Gennady Golovkin and Sergey Derevanchenko. That was also a great fight. And I think Friday night we're going to be spoiled because we're going to have another great fight between Oleksandr Gvozdyk and Artur Beterbiev. May the best man win. And until I see you guys again, please keep those gloves up.